Hello everyone, welcome to UGC NET Management 60 days 60-minute challenge. So now let's get started for today. We'll just refresh this. Just give me 1 minute. Yes, we'll start. So this all was studied by us day before yesterday, and we did study the financial statement analysis, the different types of ratio analysis and fund flow analysis yesterday. Three types of activities in INDES: operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities, as we saw it in the Netflix cash flow analysis also. We also saw dew point analysis, which is net income upon total equity, which we can write it as net profit margin total asset turnover equity multiplier to see where the profitability is being generated from. So now we have come up to the third section, preparation of cost sheet, marginal costing and cost volume profit analysis. This is what we'll be doing for today. So let's get started. In cost accounting, the principles we have mentioned are applied to decision making regarding the allocation of resources, optimization and maximum. Let's explore. Marginality principle in cost accounting. What does the marginality principle says? The marginality principle in cost accounting focuses on marginal cost and marginal revenue associated with producing or selling one additional unit of a product or service. Because because of use, we can businesses use this principle to decide whether to expand production or stop producing a certain product. Marginal cost is the additional cost incurred by producing one more unit. The marginal revenue is the additional revenue generated from selling that extra unit. Application in cost accounting. Businesses use the marginality principle to determine whether producing or selling one additional unit of a product is worthwhile. If the marginal revenue exceeds the marginal cost, then it is profitable to increase production. A company might evaluate whether it should produce an extra 100 units of product. If the additional revenue from selling those 100 units exceed the additional cost of producing them, the company will go ahead. Incremental principle in cost accounting. The incremental principle is used in cost accounting when evaluating the impact of small incremental changes in a business operation. It looks at additional cost and additional revenues that arise from a small change in production or business activity. This principle helps in decision making when businesses are considering projects or changes that involve small incremental investment or modification. It can be applied in cost benefit analysis when deciding whether to expand a project or invest in new equipment. Application in cost accounting. In cost accounting, the incremental principle is often used to evaluate decisions like expanding production capacity, introducing new product line, or purchasing new equipment. By evaluating the incremental cost and incremental revenue, such changes businesses can decide if the change will be profitable. Example: a company deciding to whether to purchase additional machinery to increase production. The increment principle would look at the additional cost and the additional revenue generated from producing more units. If the incremental revenue exceeds the incremental cost, the investment would be considered worthwhile. After incremental principle in cost accounting, we go to equimarginal principle in cost accounting. What is the equimarginal principle in cost accounting? Equimarginal principle in cost accounting involves the optimal allocation of resources in such a way that the marginal cost of producing an additional unit in different areas or different products is equalized across all production process. It ensures that a firm allocates its resources in the most efficient way possible to maximize profits or minimize cost. The principle states that a firm should allocate resources in such a way that the marginal cost per unit of output is equal across all products or processes, or the marginal profit per unit of resource is equal. The principle states that a firm should allocate resources in such a way that the marginal cost per unit of output is equal across all products or processes. Marginal profit per unit of resource is equal. The marginal principle is applied in resource allocation and helps businesses decide how to divide limited resources among different products or services. And for example, it ensures that a business spends resources on products or services in such a way that the return on investment from each product or service is maximized. To allocate labor between these products using equimarginal principle, the company will allocate labor so that the marginal contribution per worker is the same across both products. If the contribution margin per worker is higher than product A, they will allocate more labor to product A until the marginal contribution is equalized. So we have studied the three principles. Next, implicit explicit cost हमने ये पढ़ा हुआ है. Explicit cost are the actual monetary payments firm makes to purchase or hire resources it does not own, such as actual जब money तुम pay करते हो तो जाता है. What is the use of explicit cost? To calculate accounting profit, which is the profit reported on financial transactions. Wages and salaries, rent, utility, raw material, interest, taxes, insurance, marketing, जो भी आपने भरा है ये सब explicit cost है. Implicit cost क्या है? Implicit cost represents the opportunity of using resources already owned by the firm for which no actual payment is made. These are earnings forgone by not employing those resources in the next best use in the next best alternative use. Implicit cost is characteristics. इसमें पैसा नहीं होता है but this is the opportunity cost जो firm invest करती है. For example, owners time and labor, owners use of capital, owners use of owned property or equipment, depreciation of owned asset. ये सब वैल्यू है जो हम अकाउंटिंग प्रॉफिट में लेते नहीं बट इम्प्लिसिट कॉस्ट है जो पे किया हुआ होता है ओनर ने. If the owner of a small design firm uses a building they own instead of renting it out for $3,000 a month, then $3,000 is the implicit cost even though no cash changes hands. No cash changes hands. कंपेयरिंग अकाउंटिंग प्रॉफिट एंड इकोनॉमिक प्रॉफिट। अकाउंटिंग प्रॉफिट में टोटल रेवेन्यू माइनस एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट होता है। इकोनॉमिक प्रॉफिट में टोटल रेवेन्यू माइनस एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट और इम्प्लिसिट कॉस्ट भी माइनस होता है। So this is the difference between economic and accounting profit. Simple. Law of diminishing returns. Law of diminishing returns. What does law of diminishing returns say? The law of diminishing returns states if one input in the production process is increased while all the inputs are held constant, a point will eventually be reached at which the additions of output marginal returns begin to decrease. In other words, each additional unit of the variable input will contribute less and less to total output. Key concept applies in the short run when at least one factor is fixed like capital or land. The variable factor is often labor or raw materials. Initially decreasing the variable input leads to increasing marginal returns, but after a certain point diminishing marginal returns set in. Eventually adding more units of the variable input can even reduce total output. Three stages of production: increasing returns, diminishing returns, negative returns. Illustrative example, real world example. Imagine a small bakery with fixed number of ovens. Initially adding more workers improves output because work is better divided, but after a point there are too many workers or not enough ovens, leading to crowding and inefficiency. Output increases more slowly and eventually might fall. We'll take a break here of 2 minutes. So yes, now we will continue ahead. ये हमने कर लिया है लॉ ऑफ डिमिनिशिंग रिटर्न्स. This will mark it as complete. And next is economic theory of production. The economic theory of production answers the fundamental economic questions of what to produce, and how much to produce. Think about it. आपको अगर एक बिजनेस शुरू करना है, so what will you do? First you will think मैं क्या बनाऊंगा, फिर कैसे बनाऊंगा. एक बार कैसे हो गया, then you will think कितना बनाऊंगा. Then these questions are essential to understanding resource allocation and production. So breakdown of the questions: what to produce means which goods and service should be produced. It allocation of the resources, how to produce, choice of production. It considers a combination of factors of production: labor, capital, land, and entrepreneurship. How much to produce? This question refers to determining the quantity of goods and services to produce, considering the optimal use of resources. The correct sequence is this. Okay. The economic theory of production answers three questions. Yeah, Rakna. What to produce, how to produce, how much to produce. Production theory in microeconomics. What does the production theory in microeconomics? These are the part of the following subtopics. So, production theory or theory of a firm is cost theory, production, and efficiency analysis. The terms economies of scale, economies of scope, economies of specialization, and technical efficiency fall under the broader topic of production theory, a theory of or theory of the firm in microeconomics. More specifically, they are part of the following subtopics. Cost theory. Economies of scale or economies of scope directly relate to how firms manage and reduce costs as they grow or diversify. Production and efficiency analysis. Technical efficiency and specialization are part of studying how inputs are transformed into outputs efficiently. The term economies of scale, economies of scope, economies of specialization, and technical efficiency fall under the broader topic of production theory or the theory of microeconomics. More specifically, they are part of the following subtopics. Oh, what is production theory? Let's see. Cost theory and production and efficiency analysis. Cost theory, economies of scale and economies of scope directly relate to how firms manage and reduce cost as they grow or diversify. Production and efficiency analysis, technical efficiency and specialization are part of studying how inputs are transformed into outputs efficiently. We'll take a 2 minutes break again. So we are back and we'll continue our study. So now we are going through production theory or of the firm in microeconomics. More specifically, they are part of the following subtopics. Cost theory, economies of scale and economies of scope directly relate to how firms manage and reduce cost as they grow or diversify. Cost theory, economies of scale and economies of scope directly relate to how firms manage and reduce costs as they grow or diversify. Production and efficiency analysis. Technical efficiency and specialization are a part of studying how inputs are transformed into outputs efficiently. Theory of form in microeconomics. Most cost theory, economies of scale and economies of scope directly relate to how firms manage and reduce costs or diversify. Production and efficiency analysis. Technical efficiency and specialization are part of studying how inputs are transformed into outputs efficiently. Economies of scale. Economies of scale occur when increasing the scale of production leads to a lower cost per unit. Economies of scale. Economies of scale occur when increasing the scale of production, producing more output leads to lower cost per unit. Economies of scale occur when increasing the scale of production leads to lower cost per unit. Internal economies of scale, cost saving within a firm. So economies of scale occur when increasing the scale of production leads to lower cost per unit. Internal economies of scale, cost saving in a firm, bulk purchasing, specialization of labor, better machinery. External economies of scale, cost saving arising from external factors, industry growth leading to better infrastructure. A car manufacturer produces 10,000 cars a year and lowers cost per car from $30,000 to $25,000, and due to buying materials in bulk and spreading fixed costs over more units. What is economies of scope? Economies of scope occur when producing multiple products together is cheaper than producing them separately. Sharing resources like distribution channel, marketing, or R&D across different products. A dairy company produces both milk and cheese using the same supply chain and processing facilities, reducing the overall cost of each product. Economies of scope. Economies of specialization. Mm, These arise when tasks are divided among workers or machines in a way that each focus on what they do best, increasing the productivity and lowering the cost. Specialization leads to better skill development, faster production, and less downtime. In a furniture factory, one worker only cuts wood, other assembles pieces, and a third polishes. This division of labor makes the production process faster and cheaper. Technical efficiency. A production unit is technically efficient when it produces the maximum output from a given set of input or uses the minimum amount of inputs to produce a given output. It's about using resources wisely regardless of cost. Unlike cost efficiency, it doesn't consider prices, just quantities of inputs or outputs. Two factories produce 1000 widgets. Factory A uses 100 workers and 10 machines. Factory B uses 80 workers and 8 machines. Factory B is more technically efficient. So we have studied technical efficiency, cost of specialization, economies of scale and scope. Technical efficiency we have studied, economies of specialization we have studied, cost theory, economies of scale and economies of scope. Okay. Next, special type of cost, sunk cost. The cost which has already been incurred in the past and cannot be recovered regardless of future decisions. These costs should not influence current or future business choices. Sunk cost, irrecoverable past expenditure. Key characteristics: irreversible, cannot be retrieved once spent, should not affect future decisions, not considered in marginal or incremental analysis. Money spent on marketing a product that failed, research and development cost on a discontinued product. Incremental cost. Incremental cost refers to the additional cost incurred when a business undertakes a new decision or produces one more unit of output. Incremental cost is equal to new total cost minus original cost. We have studied this. Incremental cost refers to additional cost incurred when a business undertakes a new decision or produces one more unit. New total cost minus original total cost. Opportunity cost is again the implicit cost or the opportunity cost is the same which we studied. It is the next cost refers to the value of the next best alternative that is foregone when a decision is made to pursue a particular course of action. If you decide to spend your Saturday working on a project instead of going to a concert, the opportunity cost is the experience and enjoyment you could have gained. If your company invests in new machinery, the opportunity cost is the alternate investment that could have been made. Reflects the potential benefit lost. Okay, so this we had studied before. Incremental cost also, and sunk cost is uh, sunk cost we have studied here. Did we say to study sunk cost before? No, we can include it in this. Then cost theory in economics. So let's take a 5 minutes break. It's almost half an hour. We'll continue then from this cost theory in economics. So we are back and we'll continue where we left. Cost theory in economics, textbook style explanation, meaning of cost. Let's see. So let us continue. Cost theory in economics. Cost theory tries to explain the nature, type, and behavior of cost as output level changes. It helps the firm make efficient production and pricing decisions. Meaning of cost in economics. In economics, cost refers not just to monetary expenditures but also to opportunity cost, the value of the next best alternative. In economics, cost refers not just to monetary expenditures but also to opportunity cost. Thus, economic cost is, we have learned this, economic cost is equal to explicit plus implicit cost. Cost structures over time, short run versus long run. The short run is a period during which at least one factor of production is fixed, typically capital, machinery, plants. Other inputs like labor, raw materials can be varied to adjust output. At least one output is fixed. Firms can only adjust variable inputs like labor or materials. Costs include total fixed cost, total variable cost. Total cost is equal to total fixed plus total variable. If we consider the per unit cost, we will get average fixed cost, average variable cost, and average total cost, and the marginal cost as well. In the long run, all inputs are variable. Firms can scale production up and down completely. Focuses on long run average cost and long run marginal cost. Examines economies and diseconomies of scale. Application of cost theory, determining optimal output level. Well, MC marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. Pricing decisions, especially in competitive versus monopoly markets. Expansion planning, short run versus long run. Profitability analysis, economic profit versus accounting profit. Cost theory is a foundational element of microeconomics that helps explain how firms make production and financial decisions based on behavior of cost. It bridges the gap between resource use and pricing strategy, helping firms operate efficiently in both the long and short run. So short-run cost in economics, we have learned one of the factors should be fixed, while others can vary. Generally, हमारे पास दो axes होते हैं mark करने को, so we only mark x and y, out of which we keep one as constant. Total cost in the short run. This is a total fixed cost, total variable cost. Addition is total cost, which we have seen. Rent, insurance, salaries of permanent staff ये सब same रहेगा. Wages, raw materials, fuels अलग रहेगा. Total cost the sum. Average cost in the short run, aka per unit cost. Average fixed cost is total fixed cost divided by quantity. So as you increase the output, the average fixed cost will decrease. ये हमें पता है. Average variable cost. Variable cost is total variable cost divided by Q. So average variable cost will first decrease and then increase. So इन दोनों का addition होगा average total cost, which you can see here. And what will be the marginal cost? Marginal cost will be extra cost incurred by producing one more unit. So this is delta change in cost by delta TQ, which is different from average total cost. Since TFC is constant in total, the total fixed cost is constant. The change in total cost is entirely due to change in TVC, है ना? So that's why you can see कि ये TVC का ही थोड़ा shape ले रहा है. ABC की जगह MC. C से similar लग रहा है AC. So marginal cost in MC intersects. Now these are some basics. Marginal cost intersects average marginal cost intersects average variable cost and average total cost at the minimum point. Variable cost and average total cost at the minimum points. Okay. ATC average total cost is average variable cost average. AFC continuously declines, causing the gap between ATC and ABC to narrow. तो ये शॉर्ट रन के हमारे कॉस्ट हो गए जो हमने पढ़ लिया. नेक्स्ट इज मार्जिनल रेवेन्यू. टोटल चेंज इन टोटल रेवेन्यू अपॉन चेंज इन क्वांटिटी सोल्ड. सो अगर एक फर्म 10 यूनिट सेल करता है 100 रुपीज़ के लिए तो प्राइस इज ₹10. अगर 11 यूनिट सोल्ड करता है 108 के लिए तो प्राइस इज ₹8. सो द मार्जिनल रेवेन्यू बिकेम ₹8. एक एक्स्ट्रा यूनिट के लिए ₹8 स्पेंड करना. So there are different rules that we follow. First is the profit maximization rule. In the short run, a firm maximizes profit or minimizes losses by producing the quantity of output where MR is equal to MC, where marginal revenue will be equal to marginal cost. हम वही produce करेंगे. If MR is marginal revenue, जो हमें price greater than marginal cost, the firm earns more from selling the next unit then it cost to produce. So हम बनाएंगे. अगर marginal revenue कम है marginal cost से तो हम profit decrease कर रहे हैं. At both equal to point, that is the profit maximizing point. Producing one more or less unit would reduce total profit. So now we'll study the shutdown rule in short run. Case 1, MR or P cuts MC above ATC or above or at ATC. This means the firm is earning more than its total cost per unit. The firm is making economic profit, highly profitable. The firm should definitely continue production. Case 2, MR is equal to MC at the minimum point of ATC. यहाँ पे जो marginal cost revenue extra बन रहा है ₹10, it is equal to average total cost. पूरा cost में जा रहा है revenue. So okay. So यहाँ पे भी profit नहीं होगा but हम बना सकते हैं. This is the break even point. बट अगर इससे लोअर गया देन अभी टोटल कॉस्ट ज़्यादा हो गया, रेवेन्यू हमारा कम हो गया, हमें नहीं बनाना चाहिए. हमें लॉस होगा बट इट कैन कवर वेरिएबल कॉस्ट लॉस बट नॉट इनफ टू जस्टिफाई शटिंग डाउन. ऑपरेटिंग एट अ लॉस और मिनिमाइजिंग लॉसेस. फिक्स कॉस्ट, क्योंकि फिक्स कॉस्ट तो कवर हो रहा है, वेरिएबल कॉस्ट हमारा नहीं है तो टू द एंटायर फिक्स कॉस्ट. यहाँ पे कोई फर्म्स थोड़ी छोड़ के जाएगी, सप्लाई फॉल होगा विच कैन रेज द मार्केट प्राइस, वी कैन रिमेन. नाउ व्हाट इट मीन्स, अगर ये MR पे कट कर दे, this the firm is not covering any of its fixed cost, only its variable cost. Point of AVs in between producing and shutting down. It exactly covers its variable cost but not fixed cost. ये उल्टा लिख दिया मैंने. सही हम वापस देखेंगे बट स्टार्टिंग में सही है कि MC एंड MR ATC के अबाव मेरे हम प्रोड्यूस करते जाएंगे. अगर इट इज़ मीटिंग एट मिनिमम पॉइंट ऑफ एटीसी, तभी भी हम प्रोड्यूस करेंगे, कॉस्ट हमारा कवर हो रहा है, प्रॉफिट नहीं है, बट अभी नाउ इट टिप्ड बिलो, इनके बीच में टच हो रहा है, तो हम प्रोड्यूस करेंगे क्योंकि मोस्ट प्रोबेबली दूसरे फॉर्म्स छोड़ के जाएगा एंड हो जाएगा ना, एटलीस्ट इट इज कवरिंग फिक्स कॉस्ट. एम आर इज इक्वल टू सी एट मिनिमम. देन हमें शट डाउन कर लेना चाहिए हमारे पे, और अगर फिक्स कॉस्ट भी नहीं प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है, द फर्म शुड इमीडिएटली पूरी तरीके से शट डाउन होना चाहिए. कंसेप्ट में गलत है, आई विल वेरीफाई इट. शट डाउन रूल इन शॉर्ट रन. इन दिस वी विल करेक्ट इट. सो नाउ वी कम, हमने ये सब पढ़ लिया शॉर्ट रन के बारे में, तो अभी हम मोनोपोली में पढ़ेंगे. तो टोटल कॉस्ट टर्म्स remain the same. In monopoly, the total cost terms remain the same. The per unit cost scenario changes. A monopoly is a market structure where a single firm is the sole seller of product with no close substitutes, because the monopolist controls the entire market. It has price setting power. The monopolist determines the practice, the profit maximizing level of output, where MR is equal to MC. Now हमें marginal cost का पता है, एवरेज कॉस्ट का पता है, एवरेज वेरिएबल कॉस्ट पता है, एवरेज कॉस्ट विच इज टोटल एवरेज कॉस्ट भी शेप हमें पता है. नाउ this is the marginal revenue and this is the average revenue. Okay. Profit conditions in a monopoly. Once the profit maximizing output is set, MR is equal to MC. MC and MR meet here. The nature of the firm's profit is determined by comparing AR price to AC. So यहाँ से we'll continue tomorrow. We have done more than half, which is good. ये भी हमने कर लिया है. We'll continue short run tomorrow यहाँ से. Then we can move ahead. Now we'll just practice evaluation. So let's try. हमने अभी तक 60% ऑफ द पोर्शन कवर कर लिया है. The vertical distance between total cost and the total variable cost, ये हमने पढ़ा था, will be equal to fixed cost. क्योंकि total variable cost is total fixed cost plus total cost is total fixed cost plus total variable cost. When prices are rising, the LIFO will last in first out will produce highest cost flow and lowest inventory. Which one of the following is excluded from the responsibility rule? IASB याद है हमें, IASB is इंटरनेशनल अकाउंटिंग बोर्ड स्टैंडर्ड्स बोर्ड. सो ये मोस्टली रिलेटेड है टू IFRS. अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स ये सब होगा, सो गैप नहीं होना चाहिए। यू सी गैप इज अमेरिका का स्टैंडर्ड बाई FASB। The income or gain expected from the second best use of resources lost due to best use of the scarce resources known as opportunity cost, हमने पढ़ा है ये। Which of the following are examples of current liabilities? करंट लाइबिलिटीज जो वापस देने, शॉर्ट टर्म बोरिंग बी तो होना चाहिए, बी हमें एक पता था तो उससे हमने दूसरा नहीं। ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट का है, अच्छा मल्टीपल सही हो सकते हैं, लेट्स सी। फिक्स्ड, this we do not know, let's say break even point। now we'll try to see इन क्वेश्चंस में से क्या सही हो सके। 4 4 3 4 तो आंसर 4 में से होगा फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, 1 2 3 में से ए सब जगह है, सो ए इज मोस्टली करेक्ट, क्योंकि ए इधर नहीं है तो हम मोस्टली बोल रहे हैं। एंड कंफ्यूज करने को इधर ई है, सो अभी सेकेंड या 4 में से आंसर है। 2 बार सी इधर है, 2 बार बी, सी इन तीनों में है, तो मोस्ट प्रोबेबली आंसर सी। बी भी 3 बार है, सी भी 3 बार है, 2 या 4 में से आंसर है, जिस तरह का वो हम बोल सकते हैं। पहले तो 4 आंसर में से 4 निकलेगा, वेरी लेस लाइकली के 3 आंसर हो। एंड सेकेंड थिंग, ए तीनों में दिया है, ई 3 जगह है, लेट्स सी। यू कैन सी एग्जामिनर ने कैसे सेट किया होगा इसका क्वेश्चंस, ये तो जाने दो। ये देखो ए रखा है, बी 2 जगह बी रखा है, ओके बी यहाँ तक रखा है, 3 इसमें रखा है, 3 ए लिखा है उसने, ए 3 बी लिखा है, बी सी देखो 3 बार लिखा है, सी डी 3 बार लिखा है, डी और ई को 3 बार लिखा है, ई तो सबको 3 3 बार लिखा गया। अभी मैं अगर एग्जामिनर होता तो मेरे पास कौन सा करेक्ट आंसर होता जिसको मैं रीअरेंज करता, मुझे वो ढूंढना है। सो वो मैं कैसे ढूंढूंगा, लेट अस सी। मैं कैसे ढूंढूंगा, पहले तो ये थर्ड आंसर नहीं होगा, अगर हम इसे सिंप्लीफाई करें, बी सी इसमें भी है, बी सी इसमें है, लेट्स सी। सी देखते हैं, चेंज इन प्रॉफिट, इट्स डिफिकल्ट, आई विल गो विथ, अगर उससे पता है मैं ये निकाल दूंगा तो इन 3 में से बचा है, ABCD ABD ACD, बी भी कंफ्यूज करने को इतना है, आई विल गो विथ दिस। Arrange the following to describe the sequence involved in cost volume profit analysis, ये हमने पढ़ा नहीं है बट हमें याद है लास्ट टाइम से। मोस्टली सब 1 से शुरू हो रहे कि फिक्स और वेरिएबल कॉस्ट फिक्स करो, ओके। देन 3 to 5 work out PV ratio by calculating profit contribution as a proportion of sales revenue, could be a drop break even charts which establish the point at which sales starts to, ये तो अभी नहीं बनाएंगे, 2 तो नहीं है। 5 calculate the relationship between sales volume and sales revenue by actual or assumed unit prices, 3 होना चाहिए और 5 है, ओके। we'll see this ahead, so we scored 6, we'll try one more। Pearl Limited company purchased a van for $12,000, making a down payment of 5,000 in this transaction. टोटल एसेट्स विल इंक्रीज बाय 12,000, ये करेक्ट है, जिधर भी ए है वो आंसर होगा, ए एंड सी, ए एंड बी। लायबिलिटीज तो 12,000 से बढ़ने नहीं वाली, सो बी इज रॉन्ग, सो ए एंड सी। विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज द करेक्ट अकाउंटिंग इक्वेशन? कैपिटल इज इक्वल टू एसेट्स प्लस लायबिलिटीज सही होगा। कैपिटल इज इक्वल टू ये वाला सही होगा, बिकॉज इसमें कैपिटल लेफ्ट में जाएगा, कैपिटल इज एसेट्स माइनस लायबिलिटीज। टेक्निकली इफ यू राइट लायबिलिटीज इन नेगेटिव तो वो वही बात होगा, बट स्टिल विल कीप इट। नाउ व्हाट इज द प्रॉफिट बाय वॉल्यूम रेशियो? ये पीवी रेशियो हमने अभी तक किया नहीं है, सो 12 छोटा 40 बड़ा, इन दोनों में से मैं कुछ मार्क नहीं करूंगा। 16 और 12 कंफ्यूजिंग को पास पास रखा है, तो मैं 16 मार्क करूंगा। आंसर 40 निकला, माय बैड। सो हमें 2 मिले हैं, विल ट्राई अगेन। Lowering of cost that a firm often experiences when it produces two or more products together. Then each alone, ये synergy है, ये economies of scope है, if you remember economies of scale की जगह हमने पढ़ा था। Computation of overhead absorption rate should be based on we do know practical capacity, जैसे कोई चीज़ नहीं होती, normal capacity नहीं हो, maximum ideal normal capacity, okay। Which of the following statements are included in financial statements? फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में हमने देखा प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस होता है, इनकम स्टेटमेंट जिसे बोलते हैं, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस को इनकम स्टेटमेंट भी बोला जाता है, कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट भी आता है फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में, हमने देखा ए और ये तो होना चाहिए, ए और ये तो होना चाहिए वाला, सी डी भी होगा, फंड फ्लो होगा, डी। पीवी रेशियो हमने नहीं किया है, लास्ट टाइम 40 आंसर था, विल गो विथ हाईएस्ट 10 है इस बार, विल ट्राई अगेन। ये हमने पढ़ा था, ड्यू पॉइंट रिसर्च एनालिसिस, इट इज इक्वल टू नेट प्रॉफिट मार्जिन इनटू टोटल एसेट टर्नओवर इनटू इक्विटी मल्टीप्लायर, ये हमने पढ़ा था। Which can substitute that profit are normally recognized when the title of the to the goods pass on to the customer when money changes hands? Oh, रियलाइजिंग या मैचिंग कंसेप्ट, ठीक है, इन दोनों में से एक है। प्रूडेंस मटीरियलिटी मुझे नहीं याद है। प्रॉफिट आर नॉर्मली रिकॉग्नाइज्ड व्हेन टाइटल ऑफ द गुड्स पासेस टू द मनी चेंज। रियलाइजेशन होगा, मैचिंग में जब पैसा मिला है तभी ही मैच करेंगे हम, मैचिंग है, पैसा दो तो मैच करेंगे, रियलाइजेशन जब रियलाइज हुआ, सो हम रियलाइजेशन के साथ जा रहे हैं। प्रूडेंस भी हमें पढ़ना पड़ेगा, हमें याद नहीं था। इन विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग केसेस विल देयर बी फ्लो ऑफ फंड्स? ओके, फ्लो ऑफ फंड्स याद है, फ्लो ऑफ फंड्स या तो वर्किंग कैपिटल बढ़ना चाहिए, जो होगा एप्लिक, पहला कुछ तो होगा, सोर्सेज ऑफ फंड्स होगा और यूज़ ऑफ फंड्स होगा, जहाँ कम हो रहा है वर्किंग कैपिटल, तो हम दोनों। परचेज ऑफ बिल्डिंग फॉर कैश, वर्किंग कैपिटल बढ़ेगा या घटेगा? यस, ये तो होगा। पेमेंट ऑफ क्रेडिटर्स बाय इश्यू ऑफ शेयर्स, इसमें वर्किंग कैपिटल हमारा नहीं बढ़ा, करेक्ट। वर्किंग कैपिटल इज जो पैसा है हमारे पास रन करने को बिजनेस, बेसिकली ओवरऑल। पेमेंट ऑफ क्रेडिटर्स बाय इश्यू ऑफ शेयर्स दे दिया, वर्किंग कैपिटल को इफेक्ट नहीं हुआ ना, पैसा इतना कुछ नहीं हुआ, तो ये नहीं, ई तो नहीं है, ई नहीं है, ए है, ई तो नहीं है, ए बी सी या ए सी डी, बी या सी में से। कैश पेमेंट टू क्रेडिटर्स, कैश कलेक्शन फ्रॉम डेटर्स, ए बी सी दोनों है। इश्यू ऑफ शेयर फॉर कैश, इश्यू ऑफ शेयर फॉर कैश, टेक्निकली कैश बढ़ाएगा, बट वर्किंग कैपिटल बोल नहीं सकते, वर्किंग कैपिटल इज डिफरेंट, जो कैश तुम्हारे पास है। सो वी विल गो विथ ए बी सी, आई बिलीव सो, ए डी ई। बी नहीं था, कैश कलेक्शन फ्रॉम क्रेडिटर्स, हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा वापस से, ये तो ठीक है, इट्स ओके, वी हैव टू स्टडी मोर, दैट मीन्स this question we can try. Change in total cost per unit change in output, implicit cost, imputed values of inputs owned and used by the firms. द कॉस्ट दैट आर नॉट अफेक्टेड बाय मार्जिनल मैनेजरियल डिसीजन, जो ऑलरेडी हो चुका है। डी का संक कॉस्ट होगा, भाई संक कॉस्ट डूब चुका है पैसा, अभी तुम कुछ भी डिसीजन लो आगे फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा। और ये इम्प्यूटेड वैल्यू इम्प्लिसिट कॉस्ट है, इम्प्यूटेड वैल्यू ऑफ इनपुट शो। सो हमें देखना है जिधर A3 और D4 हो। D4 एक ही है और A3 तो है ही, तो ये वाला आंसर है। फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स ये भी हमने देखा है। सो कैश फ्लो है, फंड्स फ्लो है, इनकम स्टेटमेंट है। ए बी ई तो हो गई। बी तो नहीं होगा क्योंकि फंड्स फ्लो पुराना था, विच हैज़ बीन चेंज्ड बाय कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट, ये हमें याद आया। सो ए होगा, बैलेंस शीट होगा, चेंजेस इन इक्विटी होगा, इनकम स्टेटमेंट होगा। लेबर एफिशिएंसी वेरिएंस ये हमें पढ़ना पड़ेगा, वी डोंट नो, we'll mark something. So this is it for today. हमने आज और 60% of the portion complete कर लिया है. Tomorrow we'll move ahead and study more, mostly costing, standard costing and variance analysis के issues देखने हैं. So any questions do let me know. And yes, हम अभी पहुंचेंगे डे 25 पे, हाफ डे तक वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग कि हम यूनिट 5 कंप्लीट कर देंगे, यूनिट 4 तक कंप्लीट कर देंगे. सो लेट्स सी वेयर. Thank you all for watching. See you tomorrow in the next episode of UGC NET Management 60 days 60-minute challenge.